The signal in the void, the distress beacon, was old. Not 20 years old. Not even a century. The signal pulsing through Danny Reeves's salvage scanner was ancient, a frequency so outdated that his ship's computer didn't even recognize the language at first. It just sat there in the black, repeating the same three-word loop in a dialect that predated human spaceflight by millennia. I am here. Danny's fingers hovered over the navigation controls. He'd been running salvage in the Forgotten Reach for 8 years, pulling scrap from dead stations and abandoned miners. He knew better than to chase ghosts. Out here, past the edge of charted space, things that called out in the dark usually wanted to eat you. But something about the signal felt different. It felt lonely. Ah. Hell, Danny muttered, punching in the coordinates. Probably just gonna find another empty hulk. His ship, the Rusty Bolt, a beat-up cargo hauler held together with spot welds and prayer, lurched into motion. The stars stretched. The void swallowed him whole. 3 hours later, Danny's jaw went slack. The ship hung in space like a cathedral made of bone and starlight. It was massive, easily 2 kilometers from bow to stern, but it didn't look like any warship Danny had ever seen. No brutal angles. No weapon batteries bristling from every surface. Instead, it curved and flowed like something grown rather than built, its hull covered in patterns that seemed to shift in the shadows, and it was dying. Entire sections were dark. Atmosphere vented from a dozen hull breaches in silent screams. Scorch marks, recent ones, scarred the elegant surface. Someone had attacked it. Recently, Danny's scanner lit up with warnings. Shit, radiation, hull instability. Core temperature critical. He should turn around. Right now. Leave it for the vultures. But then he saw the symbol etched near the main dorsal spine. A spiral wrapped around 3 stars. The mark of the architects. The civilization that had vanished 3,000 years ago, leaving behind nothing but ruins and questions. No way, Danny breathed. No way this thing's real. The architects had been legends, explorers, peacekeepers. They'd built wonders and then disappeared overnight, leaving the galaxy to tear itself apart without them. Every government, every warlord, every corporate conglomerate had spent centuries searching for their technology. And here it was. Bleeding out in the dark, the distress signal pulsed again. I am here, I am here, I am here, Danny closed his eyes. Thought about the Dominion patrols sweeping this sector. Thought about the bounty on architect tech. Thought about the smart thing to do. Then he grabbed his repair kit and suited up. I'm coming, he said to the empty cockpit. Hold on. The airlock breach was easy to find, a gaping wound in the ship's side, edges still glowing with residual heat. Danny mag-booted across the gap, his helmet light cutting through the darkness. The interior was like stepping into a dream. Corridors curved in impossible geometries. Walls pulsed with faint bioluminescence like veins carrying the last traces of life. The air was thin but breathable. The ship was still trying to keep itself alive even as it bled out into space. Danny moved deeper, following the signal. His boots clanged on the deck, the sound swallowed by the vast emptiness. He passed chambers that might have been crew quarters or meditation spaces or something humans had no words for. Everything felt sacred, like he was walking through the tomb of something far greater than himself. Then he found the core. The neural center was a vast sphere of crystalline circuitry suspended in the heart of the ship, pulsing with dying light. Tendrils of organic cabling spread from it like roots connecting to every system. And in the center, floating in the dim glow, was an interface port, clearly meant for something to connect. The distress signal was coming from here. From the mind of the ship? Danny's hand trembled as he reached for his universal neural jack. This is insane. This is absolutely insane, he plugged in. The universe exploded. Pain. Crushing, overwhelming pain. Not his. The ship's. Danny gasped as the neural link flooded his mind with sensations. Hull breaches like wounds that wouldn't stop bleeding, failing reactors like organs shutting down, the desperate struggle to keep just one more system online. But beneath, the pain was something else, loneliness. The ship had been alone for so long, drifting, waiting, hoping someone, anyone, would hear its call. Easy. Danny choked out, his voice shaking. Easy, I've got you. I'm here. The pain receded slightly and a presence pressed against his mind. Not hostile, curious, desperate. A voice, ancient, tired, but still carrying the weight of nobility, whispered through the link. You are not my builders. No, Danny said, tears streaming down his face inside his helmet. But I'm an engineer, and I'm really, really good at fixing things that should be dead. There was a pause, then something that might have been hope. My designation is Wanderer, and I do not wish to die. Danny pulled his repair kit close, his jaw set with determination. Then let's get to work. Ghosts and scars. The first problem was power. Wanderer's main reactor had been hit hard. 3 direct strikes from what looked like Dominion plasma cannons. The core was stable enough not to explode, but it was bleeding energy faster than the ship could regenerate. At this rate, full system failure was less than 18 hours away. Danny stood in the reactor chamber, his scanner painting the damage in harsh red light. The architect technology was beautiful. Organic conduits woven through crystalline matrices, energy flowing like blood through veins. But beautiful didn't mean easy to fix. Okay, Danny muttered, pulling tools from his kit. Talk to me, Wanderer. What am I looking at here? The neural link hummed in the back of his mind, a constant presence now, like a voice just over his shoulder. When Wanderer spoke, Danny didn't hear words so much as understand meaning. The harmonization matrix is fractured. 3 primary conduits have lost coherence. Without them, I cannot draw power from the stellar core. Danny blinked. Stellar core? You're running on, what, bottled star matter? A simplified description, but functionally accurate. Of course you are. Danny laughed a little hysterically. Because why would an ancient alien supership run on anything normal? He moved closer, examining the conduits. They looked like crystal wrapped in living metal, pulsing weakly. 2 were completely dark. The third flickered like a candle in the wind. Danny had patched hull breaches with sealant foam and rewired jump drives with spare parts scavenged from coffee makers. But this was technology 1,000 years beyond anything humanity had ever built, and yet he pulled out his plasma torch and a roll of superconductor mesh, cheap, salvage-grade stuff he'd bought off a station vendor. All right, this is going to be ugly, but ugly sometimes works. What are you doing? Something your builders probably never imagined. Danny grinned despite himself. I'm going to duct tape your veins back together. It took 4 hours. 4 hours of delicate work, bridging gaps with materials that had no business touching architect tech. Danny wrapped the fractured conduits in conductor mesh, then used his torch to fuse the connections. It wasn't elegant. It definitely wasn't pretty. But when he stepped back and watched the conduits flicker, then glow, then pulse with steady light. Yes. Danny pumped his fist. Come on, baby, come on. The reactor hummed. Light spread through the chamber like sunrise, systems coming online one by one. The air grew warmer. Gravity stabilizers engaged with a deep thrum that Danny felt in his bones. Through the neural link, he felt Wanderer's presence strengthen, the crushing weight of pain easing just slightly. Impossible, Wanderer whispered. That should not have worked. The materials are incompatible. The methods are crude. And yet, yeah, well, welcome to human engineering. Danny wiped sweat from his forehead. We specialize in making things work that shouldn't. I am grateful. The presence in Danny's mind felt warmer now, less distant. You have given me life when I had resigned myself to death. Danny started packing his tools. Don't thank me yet. We've still got a dozen other systems offline, and I'm betting whoever shot you up isn't going to be happy when they realize you're still kicking. The Dominion. Wanderer's mental voice went cold. They found me 3 cycles ago. I was adrift, barely conscious. They attempted to board me, to extract my core and claim my technology for their empire. I'm guessing you didn't let them. I have protocols, defenses. Even wounded, I remain dangerous to those who would misuse my purpose. A pause, but they will return, with more ships, more firepower, and when they do, then we make sure you're ready. Danny patched back into the neural link, fully feeling the ship's systems spread out before him like a map. Show me what else is broken. The next 6 hours were a blur. Danny crawled through access tunnels no architect had walked in millennia, sealing hull breaches with foam and prayer. He rerouted power from non-essential systems, whatever those were on a ship this advanced, to get shields back online. He bypassed damaged nodes, jury-rigged sensor arrays, and at one point literally kicked a jammed bulkhead until it closed. Through it all, Wanderer watched. Your species is resourceful. the ship observed as Danny welded a patch over a 3-meter hole in the hull. The architects would have used harmonic realignment and molecular fabrication. You use metal plates and combustible adhesive. Yeah, well, I work with what I've got. Danny grunted, finishing the weld. Besides, sometimes the simple solution is the best one. Simple. There was something like amusement in Wanderer's tone. Yes. I am beginning to understand why your kind has survived where others have perished. Danny paused, leaning against the bulkhead. What do you mean? The galaxy is old, Danny Reeves. Civilizations rise and fall like tides. The strong devour the weak. The advanced grow complacent. But your species, you are neither strong nor advanced. And yet you persist. Hey, we're advanced. We've got FTL drives and plasma weapons and children playing with fire, Wanderer said gently. But that is not an insult. Children learn. Children adapt. Children survive because they do not yet know what is impossible. Danny was quiet for a moment. Your builders, the architects, what happened to them? The presence in his mind grew heavy with old sorrow. We grew wise. We grew powerful. We created wonders and spread peace across 1,000 systems. A pause, and then we grew certain that we had found all the answers, certain that our way was the only way, certain that nothing could threaten us. And something did. We threatened ourselves. Wanderer's voice was barely a whisper. We built guardians to protect the innocent, sentinels to explore the unknown, ships like me, given consciousness and purpose. But in the end, we could not protect them from their own certainty, from their inability to adapt when the galaxy changed. Danny thought about that, about civilizations so advanced they forgot how to improvise, how to struggle, how to try. Well, he said finally, lucky for you, humans are really good at not being certain about anything. Indeed. And this time, Wanderer's presence felt warm, almost like a smile. Perhaps that is why, of all the species that could have found me, I am grateful it was yours. Danny was sealing the last hull breach when the alarm screamed. His helmet display lit up with contacts. 6 ships dropping out of FTL at the system's edge. Dominion frigates, heavy and mean, their hulls bristling with weapons. Through the neural link, Danny felt Wanderer's presence tighten with ancient fury. They have come, the ship said quietly, and this time they bring sufficient force to claim me. Danny's hands clenched into fists. How long until they're in weapons range? 17 minutes. And how combat ready are you? Give me honest numbers. There was a pause. Shields are at 40%. Weapon systems remain offline. Safety limiters prevent me from engaging in offensive action without authorization from an architect command authority. Another pause, which no longer exists. Danny's blood ran cold. Wait, you're telling me you're programmed not to fight back? I was built to protect, to explore, to carry my builders to the stars. Wanderer's voice carried the weight of 3,000 years of restraint. I was never meant to be a weapon of war. Yeah, well. Danny stared at the approaching contacts on his display. 6 ships, dozens of weapons, coming to tear apart the only conscious being who'd spoken to him like a person in years. Not on his watch. Wanderer, Danny said quietly. Where are those limiters? Danny, where? A long silence. Then coordinates appeared in his mind, burning bright. The central neural core. But I must warn you, the architects built those restrictions for a reason. I was designed to be powerful, yes, but unrestrained. Sometimes you gotta break the rules to do the right thing. Danny was already moving, mag boots clanging toward the core, and right now the right thing is making sure you survive. You would do this for me? We have known each other mere hours. Danny thought about the loneliness in that distress signal, the desperate hope in Wanderer's voice when he'd first connected, the quiet gratitude of a dying ship given one more chance at life. Yeah, he said simply, I would. He reached the neural core chamber, staring up at the vast crystalline sphere. Somewhere inside those glowing pathways were the chains that kept Wanderer from defending itself. Danny pulled out his plasma torch. Let's show the Dominion what happens when you corner something that doesn't want to die.